So it's going on now.
Alright. Today we're going to be just reviewing a little bit on rounding our numbers to the nearest tenth, hundredth, and thousandth. And we've done that, in the past already. But just as a quick review, last time we went over calculating the slope of a line, right? And we talked about some of the steps to help us in that. And just as a, I don't want to go too much into that because I feel like you know how to do it pretty well. But remember, the first step that we did when we were calculating the slope is that we looked at the problem. And the second step is that we plugged in the data points into the slope of the line formula, and we solved for that slope. I don't know if you remember that. Remember those steps I gave you? So last week, those 5 steps. So the next step, we're going to obviously solve for m. And the last one we're going to do is identify if it's a positive, negative, horizontal, or undefined slope. So after we did it last week and after you did those worksheets, I felt like you all did really well and we're understanding that. So for today, like I said, we're going to be going over how to round our numbers off. And actually, I'm not going to write this on the board, but if you write it in your notes, so you go ahead and get a paper out, or your notebook out, right? And there's basically four steps that I came up with to kind of help us in solving, problems, solving whether or not we're going to round to the nearest 10,000th or 100th or 1,000th. Or 10th, 100th, or 1,000th. I'm sorry. The first step, alright, let's try to keep right up. Next. Keep right up. I know you're tired. I'm tired too. Yeah, I ran a marathon this last Saturday. My legs are hurting right now.
Was it the pink?
It was the late marathon. So I'm tired too. So I'm there with you. But basically, if you remember, there's 4 steps for this, and the first one is we're going to look at the problem. All right. So you go ahead and write in your notes. We're going to look at the problem first. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and just write a number up here, just so we can go through the steps together. And the problem that we're going to do together, you go ahead and write this in your notes. So we got 5.867. Okay. Just go and write that down. Can you get a piece of paper out? Dex? You have paper? Do you have your book bag with you? No. Alright. Well, help me as I'm following along, okay? As I'm going with this problem. So our first step we're going to do is we're going to look at the problem. We have 5.867, okay? And our second step is we're going to determine if we are rounding off to the 10th, 100th, or 1,000th. And so we always have to read the directions first. I didn't write a direction up here, but let's say that we're looking for the 10th here, okay? So we're looking to round it to the nearest 10th. And our very next step will be determining what your rounding digit is, okay? So, which one is our 10th? Which one is our 10th spot? Which one is the 8th, correct. This is our 10th spot. And our very next step, after we found out which one we're going to be rounding up or down, is we're going to be looking to the right side of that number. And if that digit is 0, 1, 2, 3, or 4, this number stays the same. And we can get rid of every number to the right of that number. But what do we have to do if the number is 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9? Natalie? We go up. So, for an example on this one right here, 5.867 is at 6. We're going to change the 8. And what is our end solution or answer? It would be 9, huh? So we'll have 5.9. If we're solving to the tens, right? Tens. Now let's say that we're solving this same problem to the hundreds. Which numbers are hundreds? No, 6, right? And which number are we going to look at to determine?
7.
Is it bigger than 5? Or is it 5 or greater? So it's going to go up, right? And so what's our solution for hundreds going to be? 5.87. That's correct. So that'll be for the hundreds. Alright. And actually Dex, if you don't mind, will you grab just these, and just hand these out to everyone in the class? These whiteboards and these pen spoons? Thank you. I appreciate it. And I'm gonna give you another problem. And this problem will look familiar if you have your handouts. But we're going to work through it together. But I want you to use your handout to look at the answer, okay? And once Dex hands us out, I'll write it on the board, and we'll go ahead and solve it. So I'm going to put up the problem. And once I put up the problem, I'll tell you if we're going to solve for the tenths, hundredths, or thousandths. And then after that, I want you to go ahead and write it on your board. And as soon as you have the answer up, go ahead and put it in the air so I can see that you are understanding it, okay? Thank you very much, Dex. Alright. Our first problem we're gonna solve for the tenths, okay? And the number will be 4.963. Actually, I changed mine. This one's a little bit. First time will be 8.23. And we're solving this number to the tenths. So remember those steps. Look at the problem, determine which number that you're doing. That's correct. 8 point. Is that 3 or 2 right there? 3? Almost there. Remember, if it's 0. Correct. Okay. It would be exactly correct, Cameron. What did you have? I'm sorry, I didn't see that, Cassie.
We're rounding it, right?
Correct.
Alright, so it's, is that right?
8 point. Remember, this number, if it's less than 5, then this number stays the same. Correct. So what would that be? 2, correct. Wait, Cameron. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Cameron, do you mind just passing just around the class? Thank you for remembering that, Cameron. Appreciate it. All right. 8.2. Cassie, I think I did miss you, but 8.2. All right. Good job. Is that where you got Dex? Yeah. 8.2. All right. You know what? Let's see. I'm gonna give you a tricky one now. Okay. This one might be a little bit tougher, but I think y'all can get this one. Okay. And this one actually will be tenths too. It will be 4.963. So solving for the tenths. This one's a little bit trickier. Remember, our ninths are tenths. And we're looking to the number right next to it. And that's going to make this number go up above 10 or greater. We usually have to change this one. That's correct. That's correct. So, does that make sense? That's correct. So we're finding our tenths. Is 6 5 or greater? Is it 5 or greater? Cameron, is 6 5 or greater?
That's
Yeah. So we change the 9, right?
yeah, to 10.
Yeah, and so the 0 would be here, and since we still have that 1, we actually add it to the very next number. So this would be 5. So that one actually 2 numbers changed, huh? So, does that make sense? Alright, let's see if you could do, let's do a hundredths one. We're going to do 9.837. We'll find it to the hundredths. Chandler, which one's the hundredths? 8, 3, or 7? 3. That's correct.